We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230, KGEO, 1410, KERI, now in Albuquerque, New Mexico on 1000 KKIM, and also now on the Internet on knookmedium.com in Richmond, Oakland, and the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, we're really loaded with listeners up there, aren't we, Marty?
You know, the funny thing is up there, we're on 3 times up there.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a lot of listeners up there. Our guests in studio, the political consultants, Mark and Cathy Abernathy.
So let's talk a little bit about upcoming elections.
Yeah. So, now, the governor's race is the governor's race? Yes, it is. It's coming up this term. And we've got 2 or 3 Republicans that look like they could be interesting. Do you think they could give Governor Brown a race for this? And is Governor Brown going to run again?
Well, he's definitely running, and we call it a race. It's not a race right now until there is a Republican nominee. Mm-hmm. But the question a lot of people have is there a Republican out there who is going to run who can beat Jerry Brown in
That's
November?
the $1 million question, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there is. Obviously, we have 36 million people in California, and about 16 million of them are registered voters, and about 6 million of those are Republicans. So I'd say we have about 6 million people who could do a better job than Jerry Brown. Yeah. So,
no argument there.
So the numbers just add up.
Yeah.
We got 6 million who could do a better job than Jerry Brown. 6 million Republicans.
Except they won't vote.
Well, just one of them needs to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need one Republican to run who will get out there and tell the story of what's wrong with California, why we are last in everything, except for
taxes
and teachers' pay. We're number 1 on both of those.
We had the gentleman on the other day that wrote Taxifornia. Great book. And,
right.
Yeah. And Jim Lacey, he had a list of things that we were number 1 in, but like you say, they're all categories like that.
Yeah, we're the highest income tax now. We're the highest sales tax.
Highest poverty rate.
Highest gas tax.
Uh-huh.
The highest poverty rate. We are the lowest, or almost the lowest, in schools. School performance, we're 48, I think. Now.
We hover between 49th and 50th place as the least attractive place to open a business and hire people.
Well, Clay and I will vouch for that. I know you will too. I mean, it's been a rugged year. So, who do you think on the Republican side has a chance of winning the nomination and beating Brown?
Well, the candidates that we see right now, Tim Donnelly.
Yeah.
Tim Donnelly.
We've had him on
out there, and then a guy you probably haven't heard of, Cash Carey.
No.
And
love that name.
Yeah, I think he's got a terrific name, Cash Carey. But I'm not going to support him. I'm not going to vote for him.
Mm-hmm. In the primary.
Yeah. Because I don't think he makes a contrast with Jerry Brown the way we need.
Do you think Tim Donnelly does?
Yeah, I think Tim Donnelly. Yeah. He can speak and articulate the issues that I think that are really critical for California. And number 1 is to stop beating up on our employers. Stop running our employers out of the state, taxing them and regulating them until they cry uncle and pick up and move to Texas or Idaho or Colorado, where our people are moving, our employers are moving to, and then say, why don't we have jobs here? Yeah. And so he can articulate that one very critical issue. We have to welcome employers and help those employers and lower the taxes on them and lower the regulations on them. Let the free market work. Mm-hmm. Free market is what produces our wealth.
Is the Senate race coming up this term also, the 16th in 2016?
No U.S. Senate race.
How about the state?
All the statewide will be up. The
Gene
lieutenant
Fuller.
governor.
The state senators. Yeah, there are 20 state senators that are up out of the 40.
So Jean, she's not going to run again. I understand. Connie is going to try to take her.
No. Jean is running again.
Oh, is she good? Okay.
Yeah.
How about Shannon? Does she have to run?
Yes, she's up again. Assembly members are up every 2 years.
2 years.
And is Shannon going to run again?
Yes.
Sure is.
That's a benefit for Bakersfield. Let me tell you.
Is. Yeah.
Both those ladies have done an excellent job if they could only get something passed.
Right. Well, if we get a few more elected like them, I think each one of them equals about 10 up there in terms of power and ability to communicate, articulate the message. And that's often the problem with Republicans, that they don't elect people who are quite able to articulate. And Jean's just brilliant on water, on education. Shannon knows every pathetic business law that's out there that's killing business. On
business.
Yeah, and she's run her own business, which a lot of those legislators, they see that as a negative. A lot of the liberals up there, because she'll point out what's wrong with every one of their bills, and and then all they do is say, "Well, you're just a rich Republican." Well, that lady worked her head off with nothing to turn it into a business. Shannon Grove did that. She accomplished something. They've been sitting on government payroll their whole lives. So.
Exactly. We're having a conversation with Mark and Cathy Abernathy.
Well, the problem with Shannon's business, she is a businesswoman, but the problem she has is she didn't build that business.
Oh, that's right. Obama did. That's right. He was out there at 5:30 in the morning with her giving jobs. Yeah. You know what I love about Shannon's business too is her whole career has been finding work for people. She's a staffing agency, and so she knows every small business in this area and large laws that prevent them from hiring more people. She also knows why a person does or doesn't keep a job, because she works with them if they're out of jail, if they're out of any kind of trouble, trying to help them. That experience alone has gotten her the knowledge, not only business law, but what's wrong with all our social laws that keep people in poverty instead of helping them get out and on the
but
working.
Cathy, isn't that the government's job to find jobs for people?
That's what Obama was saying in the State of the Union. He said, I'm busy creating jobs.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's a great segue. His little State of the Union speech the other night. I was really, appalled is probably too small of a word for what I was feeling, but to have a man stand up there and say he's going to act on his own and do what he wants to do. I mean, I don't remember him getting a 80% mandate or anything, do you? I mean, he barely squeaked into office.
I thought he at least might have read the Constitution once in his legislative career, U.S. Senate career, and then before he decided to run for president. But it does say in there, you've got to work with the House and Senate, buddy. We didn't create England here.
Yeah, you think it's not a monarchy.
Right.
Well, we may forget, or maybe we didn't see some of his speeches before he became a U.S. Senator, when he was a state senator back in Illinois or a community organizer. And if you see some of those, that some were videotaped, he clearly stated that he does not agree with the United States Constitution. It is outdated. It was written by a bunch of old dead white men. It's completely outdated, and it needs to be trashed and rewritten, because, for one thing, it, as he says, it tells government what it can't do.
That bothers him. That bothers Obama.
Why he can't figure out, why does the Constitution telling government, elected people, what they can't do? He said it should tell us what we can do.
That's a scary
He stands the whole thing on its head, in that the whole point is that we had a Constitution, we have documents that say people get everything else, and this is what you can't do, so that they don't encroach on us, which of course he's been trying to do, and the Supreme Court several times has overruled him when he's made appointments. He pretended Senate was in recess. They weren't, which is the only time he can make an appointment. They were not in recess, but he went ahead and did it. We had to go to the Supreme Court to say, buddy, you were wrong, and beat him that way.
Isn't that a trick that's been done in the past, though?
It's a trick if you do it when they're actually in session.
Right.
When he did it, they were in session. They were not in recess.
The chief executive always wants more power.
Right. Sure.
And our founders knew that. And the founders knew history. They knew human nature, and they set up blockade after blockade, and as they drew things up to prevent anybody from getting power. And that's why the Constitution says that the government is limited. We have three branches. They go against each other to try to keep anybody from getting power. The Constitution says the government can only do this and only do this. All other powers are reserved to the people. Now, this is what Obama doesn't like, because it tells government elected people what they can't do.
Sure.
But you remember he said when he came in, even before he was elected during the campaign, I want to fundamentally transform the United States of America.
Well, but prior to that, he said, this is the greatest country in the world. I want to fundamentally transform America.
I want to completely change it. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Was that before or after his apology tour that he went around the world with?
Yeah, I love that apology tour.
Yeah. And we've seen the results of that in the Mideast. I mean, everything's collapsed.
Sure.
So when he feels that he as a chief executive can go around Congress and do whatever he wants without, then if you put yourself in his shoes and see what he believes that he should be able to do that.
Yeah. When we come back from the break, let's talk a little bit more about that speech the other night. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.